Let me ask you something. How much time have you spent trying to figure out what women want? Be honest, you've watched the videos, you've read the articles, you've listened to your boys, you've tried the advice, and somehow, despite all of that, you still feel like you're missing something. Like there's a piece of the puzzle that nobody is actually telling you. Well, today I'm going to tell you, and it's going to be simpler than you think, and more uncomfortable than you expect. Because the thing that women are most attracted to, the thing that makes a man genuinely magnetic, has nothing to do with your looks, your money, your height, or any of the surface-level things most men spend their energy on. It has everything to do with who you actually are. And most men have no idea who they actually are, which is exactly why they keep struggling. What men think women want versus what women actually respond to. Here is where most men get completely lost. They watch what women say they want and they try to become that. Women say they want a sensitive man, so men become overly agreeable. Women say they want a man who communicates, so men become men, who overshare every emotion, looking for validation. Women say they want equality, so men stop leading and then wonder why the attraction disappeared. Here is the truth. What women say they want and what women actually respond to are not always the same thing. Not because women are dishonest, but because attraction is not a conscious intellectual decision. Attraction is biological. It is emotional. It happens below the level of thought. And what triggers attraction in a woman, real deep attraction, not just surface interest, is something that cannot be faked, cannot be performed, cannot be learned from a script. Attraction is not a decision. It's a response. A woman is not attracted to a man because he said the right things. She is attracted to a man because of how he makes her feel. And how he makes her feel is a direct reflection of who he actually is. So the question is not what do I say or do to attract a woman. The question is, who do I need to become so that attraction is a natural byproduct of my presence? That is a completely different question, and it has a completely different answer. The things that actually attract women. Let me break down what women actually respond to, not what they say in surveys, not what the internet tells you. What actually moves the needle? The first thing is certainty. A man who knows who he is, who has a clear identity, a clear direction, a clear sense of what he stands for. That man is magnetic, not because he's perfect, but because he's grounded. He doesn't shift based on her mood. He doesn't change his opinion to match hers. He doesn't need her approval to feel secure in himself. And that groundedness, that certainty, creates safety for a woman. Because a woman cannot relax in the presence of a man who is more uncertain than she is. She cannot trust a man who needs her validation to feel okay about himself. She cannot respect a man who loses himself trying to keep her happy. But a man who is certain, who is anchored in his identity, his faith, his purpose, she can relax around that man. She can trust him. She can respect him. And respect is the foundation of real attraction. Certainty is more attractive than perfection. The second thing is purpose. Nothing is more attractive to a woman than a man who is building something. Not a man who is talking about building something. Not a man who has plans to start building something someday. A man who is actually in the process of building, who has a mission, who is moving toward it daily, who is consumed by something bigger than himself. Because a man with a purpose is a man with direction, and a man with direction is a man who can lead. And leadership, real, quiet, confident leadership, is one of the deepest forms of attraction that exists. When a woman sees a man who knows where he is going, she wants to go with him. That is not complicated. That is human nature. The third thing is emotional strength. Now here is where most men get confused. Emotional strength is not the same as emotional suppression. A man who never shows any emotion, who is cold and closed off, who mistakes numbness for strength, that is not attractive. That is just a different kind of weakness. Emotional strength is the ability to feel deeply and remain stable, to face hard things without falling apart, to be vulnerable when vulnerability is appropriate, without making your emotions someone else's problem, to process difficulty without dumping it on the people around you. Emotional strength is not suppression, it's stability. A woman wants a man she can lean on, not a man she has to carry. There is a profound difference between those two things. And the man who has done the work we've been talking about on this page, who has faced his wounds, rebuilt his identity, walked with God, that man has the emotional strength that creates real lasting attraction. The fourth thing is standards. This one surprises men every single time. Women are attracted to men who have standards, men who know what they will and won't accept, men who are selective, not arrogant, not dismissive, but genuinely selective about who they give their time and energy to. Because a man with no standards is a man who will accept anything. And a man who accepts anything tells a woman, I don't value myself enough to require anything. And a man who doesn't value himself cannot be valued by someone else. When you have real standards, when you are genuinely willing to walk away from what is not right for you, you communicate something powerful. You communicate that you know your worth. And a man who knows his worth is a man worth knowing. The fifth thing, and this is the one most men never talk about, is faith. A man who walks with God, who has a spiritual foundation, who prays, who lives by something greater than his own desires. That man has a quality that is becoming increasingly rare. And rare is attractive. Scripture says in Proverbs, Isaïe 22, he who finds a wife finds a good thing and obtains favor from the Lord. Notice the order. He who finds. A man who is moving, building, walking with God, he finds. He is not sitting still, waiting to be chosen. He is a man in motion. A man with favor. And that man, that walking, building, God-aligned man, he attracts what he is becoming. Why most men struggle with attraction. Now let me be direct about why most men struggle with this. And it comes back to something we've talked about before. Most men are trying to attract a woman from a place of lack. They are trying to fill a void through her. They need her validation to feel worthy. They need her attention to feel significant. They need her to stay, to feel like they are enough. And women feel that need. They feel the desperation underneath the performance. They feel the hunger for validation underneath the confidence act. And it repels them. Not because they are cruel, but because attraction does not flow toward need. Attraction flows toward strength. Attraction flows toward strength, not toward need. The man who is trying to get something from a woman will always struggle. The man who has so much to give, so much purpose, so much identity, so much grounded faith, that he is genuinely not desperate for her validation, that man will never struggle to attract the right woman, because he is not trying to attract her. He is simply being who he is, and who he is exactly what she has been looking for. The book of Enoch speaks of men who were created with divine purpose and divine strength. Men who, when they walked in alignment with that purpose, carried an authority and a presence that was undeniable. That presence, that God-given masculine authority, is what true attraction responds to. Not the performance, not the routine, the real thing. And the real thing only comes from the real work. The work we've been talking about on this page from the very beginning. What this means for you practically. So let me make this practical. What do you actually do with everything I've just told you? Stop trying to attract women. Start becoming the man that the right woman cannot ignore. That means you wake up every day and you work on your purpose. Not for her, for you. Because a man with a mission is magnetic, and you cannot fake a mission. That means you do the work on your identity. You face the wounds. You rebuild the foundation. You stop operating from a place of lack and start operating from a place of wholeness. Because you cannot give a woman what you don't have yourself. You cannot give what you don't have. That means you develop your standards. You get clear on what you will and won't accept in a relationship. Not as a game, not as a strategy, but because you genuinely know your worth. And you are not willing to compromise it for the wrong woman. That means you walk with God, seriously, consistently, because the favor that comes with that walk, the grounding, the peace, the certainty, that is the most attractive quality a man can have. And it cannot be manufactured. It has to be lived. And here is the promise I'll make you. When you do that work, when you become that man, you will not have to chase. You will not have to perform. You will not have to wonder if you're doing it right. The right woman will recognize the man you've become. And she will show up in your life, not because you played the game correctly, but because you became someone worth showing up for. Most men spend their whole lives trying to figure out what women want, chasing, performing, adjusting, hoping. And the answer was never about any of that. The answer was always about you, about the man you are, about the man you are becoming, about whether you are building the kind of life and the kind of character that the right woman would be honored to be a part of. Stop chasing. Start building. Build your identity. Build your purpose. Build your faith. Build your standards. And when the right woman comes, and she will come, you won't have to wonder if you're enough. You'll know. Walk with God while you work for the crown. When he crowns you king, tell the world of the truth you found. That's king-level mindset. Kings don't beg. Kings don't bow. Kings build.